Good afternoon, RP. Thank you for joining us in Minneapolis. This is the third installment of our IT automation series, and I really appreciate you joining us to talk about the automation agenda we have at Accenture and where you see the markets going.
Thank you, and I'm very glad that I'm here. I've been here earlier, but this is a beautiful and very nice and cold place. I always enjoy coming back to Minneapolis. And I'm also excited to host this third event of automation for our clients.
When you're here to talk about automation, can you share with us what your view is of the market and where you see companies are on the IT automation maturity curve?
One of the big things that I notice part of the IT automation implementation in those organizations is automation is approached either through technology lens. What I mean by that is, let me do an RPA automation or an AI solution or bring a tool to drive the automation. And then also they try to implement in silos.
So you're seeing companies focus on innovation or automation in pockets, and the real goal is to look at it from an enterprise-wide capability to really drive significant change.
I see that big benefits and return on investment on the dollars that you spend on IT, on the automation, will come only when you do it enterprise-wide, holistically.
So where do companies start when they want to put together an enterprise-wide automation strategy? How do they begin?
So one of the very interesting thing I come across in my career is, you know Watts Humphrey, one of the software engineering guru, he says, if you don't know where you are on a map won't help. It is very important that most of the organizations should start with understanding where they are in the automation journey by benchmarking, baselining, and taking standard steps to study and understand where they are. Once they know where they are, then it is very easy to put a map, a roadmap that can take them to where they would want to get to, using a reference framework like a maturity framework or a quantitative index that can tell you where you are is the step one.
So you mentioned a lot about benchmarks, and we see a lot of organizations look to us to help with benchmarks, whether it's benchmarks within an industry or a geography or an IT function. Tell us a little bit about the benchmarks we use as you talk about this as leveraging the benchmark capability, building a roadmap.
A very good question, because the quantitative baselining is very important. Our advantage is we run deliveries for most of our clients, and as you run the delivery engine on a day-to-day basis, be it planning, be it tracking, be it incident management, be it change request management or status reporting, all of this starts generating the data. So we take all of the data, quantitative data and the metrics that we capture as part of our execution, and we build quarter to quarter baselines and productivity benchmarks that can be compared to industry standards that are available out there, like for example, Software Engineering Institute, Carnegie Mellon University, they have the benchmarks on what should be a best in the defect density, as an example, where your threshold should be.
I think benchmarks is a very powerful contribution to this solution. Our clients seek to really understand where they are. Yeah. They seek to understand where they need to be, and it really helps when they're looking for their funding process and their technology prioritization process when they're talking to their executive leadership. And without that, right, it's just another technology investment. So I think it's great that we're using a lot of benchmarks to really jumpstart the need for clients' definition of roadmaps.
Absolutely.
So what do you think the biggest challenges are for our companies to get to automation at scale?
It is very, very basic, sounds very basic, but it is the most complex thing. If you look at our automation adoption, it has three components to it: people, process, and technology. In these three things, there's no surprise that technology component is the most easiest part, because you get people who knows the technology, put the automation, put the tooling, put the solution, we are done. The process and methodology can be defined, but the most important thing is the people aspect. Managing and transforming the entire organization and managing it like a change program and making people ready for the automation adoption at scale, building the capability, training them, and making sure that every day there is an automation first mindset. All of this needs substantial attention and focus and investment.
I appreciate the time today, RP. Thank you very much.
Thank you.